Saturday night, so you know what that means. Another episode of the Delco Duo. I'm PHL 17. I'm one half of the Delco Duo, Monica Cryan.
And I'm one half of the Delco Duo, the fill-in half. I'm Kelsey Fabian, and we've got a special guest for this edition of Delco Duo.
We rarely ever have guests, but we've got Eddie Doyle with us. Eddie, thank you so much for joining us.
It is now the Delco Trio.
The trio.
Yes.
We one time did have a Delco Trio. That's when Jenna's mom came on. But Eddie, you are content creator specializing in Delco.
That's right. Delco through and through.
Yeah, so talk a little bit about like what we can find on your YouTube and how much fun it is.
Yeah, so I've just always loved storytelling. I love making videos, and I've never really tried to take a certain angle, but what I've noticed is that a lot of my videos are like kind of like slice of life, just enjoying the the little things in life.
Yeah.
So, I built an account with my grandmother, just like classic Delco grandmother yelling at me.
Grandma went viral. She did.
But my mom.
Mom, yeah. So,
yeah, obviously.
Mom, yeah. The bigger she got, I had to refer to as Granny because I didn't even know this, but outside of Delco, people don't really say Mama and Papa, which is so bizarre to me.
It's the weirdest thing, and we'll talk about you and Kelsey's connection in just a bit. But that was so weird when I moved for my first job. I moved to Texas, and I'm just on air talking about my pop-up, and people were like, "Oh, pop-up." Oh, Papa. I'm like, no, guys, it's not like a classy thing.
Yeah.
It's a rough around the edges thing.
Right.
They thought it was like Pop-up. But yeah, it's my Pop-up.
So I know Eddie because we both went to Temple together. We lived next door to one another. Eddie is one of my first memories of Delco, and that is because it was my junior year, Eddie's senior year. We lived right next door to each other. He lived in a house full of Delco guys. You're from Springfield. I studied abroad the first semester, so I came in the second semester. Met this house of men, and they all had this accent. And at that time, I'm from Lancaster County. I didn't know of Delco. But I had a roommate, Lauren, who was from the area, and I one day asked her, I was like, why do all the guys in that house talk like that? And she was like, talk like what? And I was like, they have this weird accent. And she was like, yeah, Delco. And I was like, what's Delco? She's like the county. And I was like, they have a specific accent for the county? And she was like, yes. And it was my first distinction of Delco.
That is so funny. I never knew that
And
story.
some of the guys in your house had a really thick Delco accent.
And I'm sure when they got to college, especially in the very beginning, I know I had a really thick accent going into college, and it's definitely eased up as I moved around and stuff. So at the beginning of any college, like you got a lot of kids coming right out of high school. That's all they heard. That's all they know. It's going to be real thick.
Well, we're in Philly still, so I don't know that you ever lost yours.
Oh, no, definitely not. And it's one of those things, I didn't even know I had it until, honestly, when I started making videos, and I'm like, editing a lot of my own videos, and I'm listening to myself, I'm like, oh my God, that sounds horrible. Oh, it's brutal.
But so you do a lot of that content, Delco based. The Mum Days with Mum is amazing. It's hysterical.
Thanks.
She's amazing.
Oh, thanks.
How's she doing?
Well, she's playing at the casino up in the sky now.
Oh, so. I love it. That's the best place to be.
So she's doing great.
Oh, that's awesome.
But another reason why we wanted to have Eddie on the show is you're releasing your second book.
That's right. Yeah. So
and we're covering that in the debrief. So let's talk about it for the debrief. We got to get that in there. You got a book coming out, and it's called Internationally Known, Locally Disrespected. This is what I love about it, the unbelievable stories of driving Uber.
That's
in
right.
Delco.
In Delco, right. So when I started, trying to make content, trying to write, just kind of produce my own stuff, I quickly ran out of money. So I started driving Uber, and what I found with that was I was getting all these crazy stories. And when I would go to parties and stuff like that, people would always ask me, like, what's the craziest thing that ever happened? So I decided to start a YouTube channel telling the stories. I got a dash camera, started posting, some fun videos. I brought my puppy in the Uber one time that, was a lot of fun. Yeah. And then, I just continued getting questions about it. So I was like, why don't I just write down the craziest stories? So that's what that is.
I love it.
And that's what I built one of my channels.
So much content.
Well, and I will say that I think it's really hard to be, like, you can be a good writer, but it's hard to captivate funny in your writing. And I read Eddie's first book. As I said, this is his second. And your first book is so funny. Now, I know you and I know
you're LOLing.
But anyone could read it and think that it was funny. So I imagine this is hilarious.
Well, I appreciate that.
I can't wait to read it.
And that's why I'm excited with the YouTube channel. A lot of people know me. You know, they can hear one of the biggest pieces of feedback I get is people can hear my voice in my writing, my Delco accent. So I like that people can see my videos or they can hear me talking. And then, you know, I had a rough time, you know, finding an editor because my grammar is very Delco-like, so it's not
and you want it to stay that
appropriate.
Way, right?
Yeah, so he was trying to make it go one way. I'm like, no, that's not how we talk.
Let me tell you about grammar. We barely got the show on air today because of all my grammatical errors. So yeah, I get that.
Do you have a quick, short Uber story you can tell us?
I don't want to ask you the one about Monica because I literally just opened up to a page and there's one about Monica, but it's a girl referring to her nether yaya. So we won't talk about that.
Well. Yeah, so the quick story with that is that's what I'm really excited about the book is, you know, I can kind of get more in depth of stories that I might not be comfortable sharing on YouTube, but the you know, the helicopter view of that story was I picked this woman up in Delco and she was headed downtown and she passed out the moment she got in my car, right? And then halfway through, we're on the Schuylkill and she woke up in the middle of the ride. She didn't realize that she had called an Uber.
Oh my God.
So what she said was, I'll never forget it. She goes, who are you? Where am I? Where are you taking me? And she tried to get out on the Schuylkill.
Oh,
yeah,
no.
and fortunately, like there was automatic locks, but because it was locked, she started freaking out thinking that she was getting kidnapped. So it was a whole big thing, you know, you read the story.
And that's what's so interesting is my dad actually at times, especially when Uber was really young, he's like, I want to do that because he loves talking to people. He loves meeting people. He's like, I want to Uber. And I said, Dad, I just don't know. You're going to see a lot and hear a lot of things that maybe is going to make you uncomfortable. And like, that's what I figure is like some of these stories, it's going to get crazy.
I can't tell you how many people are like, there's like this romanticized view of like, oh, you can meet people and it'll be fun. And there are times it is.
Absolutely. You're also driving a lot of drunk people late at night.
Drunks. But all right, so you're going to stick with us for one of our issues and help us give advice via Delco.
I am pumped.
All right, first issue, Gail from Glen Mills. I got on the plane and a woman was sitting in my seat. She wanted to switch seats with me to sit next to her teenage children. I told her it was fine as long as her seat was also a window seat, but it was instead a middle seat. So like, can you do that? Can you ask someone to switch seats with you?
You can ask, but you know, I'm with. What's the question?
Gail.
Gail didn't switch.
Gail didn't switch.
Yeah, I'm with Gail 100%.
She had a window and this woman had a middle. So am I. You have to switch. If you're trading me, it has to be of equal to or greater value.
100%.
Can't be less. And a middle is the worst.
Yeah.
I do think I specified on here because this is actually an issue that had gone viral. And not with us, but it was just in general, people were talking about it. If the children, and she got like a last minute ticket and the children are like under a very young age, like 2 or 3, and all of a sudden you can't like sit next to your toddler, I'll switch with someone.
If they're not sitting next to their kid, I can but you would be being a very good Samaritan. Like you get credit for doing that. Like you're the nice person. I don't think you're obligated to do that.
You guys also would switch because you have children. I don't, and I like to sleep on my flight, so I'm sticking with my window.
Yeah.
I think part of that too is like the benefit of like, all right, if I switch, then maybe the kid cries less, so it actually benefits you.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
I mean, there's a whole issue. Do you even bring kids on the plane in the first place, which, you know.
The teenage kid thing is
they're
so ridiculous.
Your teenage kids probably don't even want you next to them. They're
don't.
probably like, yes, it looks like we're on this flight by ourselves.
Right,
so cool.
Exactly.
I ran into this one time. I had the bench all to myself, and a teenage couple wanted to switch with me so they could have the bench, and I would be in the middle where they were coming from.
You know,
and
they
wanted
to get frisky on the plane.
They wanted to canoodle.
I was like, no, we're not doing that. And they were giving me a mean mug the whole flight. I was like, I'm sorry.
Well, thank you so much. Where can people follow you?
Eddie Doyle on YouTube.
All right.
And when's the book come out?
31st.
And where can you buy it? Amazon?
EddiePDoyle.com.
Oh, awesome.
Can we be in your next book? Because I know it seems like you really
You can be on my channel. I got to drive
You've
you guys
known me
around.
for like 12 years. I should already be in this book.
I agree.
He hasn't driven you anywhere.
That's right.
All right. Thank you so much, Eddie.
Thank you, guys. This was fun.
We got another topic coming up, and this is about a friend's getaway trip, and if you can bring some of your furry friends with you. Make sure you stay with us.
Welcome back to the Delco Duo. Hopefully you're enjoying your Saturday night. On this show, you ask us questions, we give you advice.
And we keep you anonymous, so you can email us, you can Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We are not on Threads.
No.
Maybe we should, just as like a way to let people. I feel like that's such an easy way.
Also not on TikTok. I feel like you should be on TikTok before Threads.
We should be on TikTok, but I'm so afraid. I actually am afraid of like the addiction that I would have to TikTok. I think that's why I've stayed off it for so long.
I love watching TikToks, but I have zero interest in creating one. It just seems so tedious.
I already am so quick to like just scroll through Instagram, the reels. Most of my Instagram are just TikToks that were put on Instagram.
You're a true millennial. You're watching TikToks on Instagram reels.
Absolutely. And like scrolling through and becoming totally just engrossed in it. And the next thing I know, it's a half hour later. Where did my time go? And I haven't learned anything. So I feel like if I get TikTok, I'm just going to be so bogged down. Whereas I feel like Threads would actually be a really good way of keeping in touch with people for Delco Duo purposes. Like what's your issue? Keep you anonymous and kind of thing.
Thread me. Is that what they say?
I don't know. They do need to come up with a better, they need to come up with
lingo for Threads?
Yeah, like tweet me or retweet me. That's cool.
Thread me doesn't sound as cool.
It does not.
Doesn't have the ring.
Thread me sounds sexual almost. I don't. So Mark Zuckerberg's got to figure that out before we get the Delco Duo onto it. But we're thinking about it. For now. Let's just stick with the big three: Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and then you can just email us your issues, keeping you completely anonymous and assigning you to a random Delco town. So this is actually from the next issue, Benjamin from Brookhaven. And he says, I planned an entire weekend getaway for my friends. Through the grapevine, I heard one of my friends was bringing her dog. I had not planned for people's pets. Sometimes I feel like, especially big dog lovers and owners, just totally forget that you have to really tell people well in advance if you want to bring your dog.
Yes, I am the biggest dog lover that exists in the planet, I would say. And I 100% think you have to ask. Like, I would never just show up with my dog somewhere unless it's my parents' house without asking if I can bring my dog. Because you have to think, first off, people can be allergic. Mm-hmm. Depending on the environment, if there's going to be a ton of kids, maybe that's overwhelming for your dog. Some people are just scared of dogs. Yeah. I mean, that's crazy to me, but that is a thing. And I think that you have to ask if you can bring your dog, or it has to be discussed. You can't just bring your dog on a trip where you didn't tell anyone you're going to bring it.
Especially the trips with kids.
Yes.
Hello, do not disturb. You're supposed to be working right now.
Important phone call, Monica?
No, not at all. I had it on D&D, but I totally agree with that. I think especially if you have kids on this trip, a lot of kids are terrified of dogs. And then the whole trip is ruined because it's constant parents saying, no, it's okay, don't worry, he's not going to do anything. He's not. And then the kids screaming, because I've seen the kids just scream at the top of their lungs.
You also have to have the right type of dog for this. Like, even if you think like, oh, my dog is good with kids, your dog might be good with a kid. But I've gone on trips with friends where there's 9 small children, and for some dogs,
tugging on the tail.
Yeah, like for some dogs, there needs to be a boundary, and that can be really overwhelming. And how are you going to tell 9 children to don't touch the dog, leave the dog alone? So I just think that I think you have to get it okayed. Unless it's a trip from the beginning that's been discussed, like, oh, it's a dog-friendly house, people bring your dogs. But if that hasn't been discussed, you can't just surprise people with your dog.
I feel so bad, and I think a lot of people are going to just, why do you have to bring the dog? This is a vacation. Just give the dog to someone. I understand kennels and boarding your dog, it can get really expensive. Can you find a friend or a pet sitter? I know that can get really expensive, but this is a vacation. People really want to unwind and not have to worry about, even yourself. Don't even worry about how, when to take the dog out, when to take it for a walk, how to clean up. Don't even worry about it. Enjoy your vacation. Sometimes if people are taking a vacation away from the kids, you should be able to take a vacation away from the dogs. And for me, I say it time and again, I am really, really allergic to dogs. It's an absolute misery when I'm around some.
Like if someone sprung a dog on your vacation, you'd be
It's ruined. It's ruined. I can't breathe.
Yeah.
I can't see. I can't, my nose is stuffed. It's just absolute misery.
And
I have to say though, Clarendon has really been helping. Now that my brother has a dog, he'll bring the dog over, and in for short amount of times, it's fine. It's like the hours and hours and like the dog sleeping and stuff. That's when my allergies get terrible and it gets hard for me to breathe. But Clarendon has been really helpful.
Well, and I will say, as someone who is a dog lover, has a dog, I do understand that like you love your animal so much and you want to take it places with you, and it's hard sometimes to think that like people don't want to be around dogs because you're like, why? I love dogs, they're the best.
Right.
But it's the same reason like if someone maybe doesn't have kids and they don't want to be around a small child.
Yes.
Like I know not to compare children and dogs, but it's like it might not be everyone's cup of tea. You can't assume just because you love dogs that everyone loves dogs.
Absolutely. And so especially because it wasn't you who planned the trip, it was someone else who planned the trip, that you can't just assume that dogs are invited. Have a good old vacation.
Or plan the next trip and make sure.
Plan the next trip and make it dog friendly at that point. All right, fun stuff. So next up, we have one of our own issues that we're bringing to the table. So make sure you stick around for that, because it's not anonymous. And we're back, and we brought Eddie back because he was like, I have an issue of his own.
And my issue wasn't that great. It was just Monica complaining about me. So we're going to go to Eddie's issue.
And we've got this. Meisner needs an advisor. All right, you need an advisor, Eddie.
All right.
What happened?
Here's the situation. I go to breakfast with a friend. The hostess sets the settings down on a square table, okay? She doesn't place the settings down, assigning us our seats. They're just in the middle. So he sits down on one side of the square table. Now, if I sit directly across from him, the angle of the table is, I can't really see the rest of the room. It's going to be a terrible angle, right? And I'm also going to be like a little like smushed in because of the seat behind me. So there's the option to sit to the side of him, like a right angle. It's not a booth. It's not a booth. I think we can.
This and this.
Yeah, exactly. Imagine if this was square.
Yeah.
So I can either sit across like you guys are sitting, or I can sit like that. What's the play there? Do I sit directly across?
I feel like it feels weirder for you because you're thinking you're two dudes. Like I wouldn't think about that hard. I could sit next.
No. When in doubt, sit across.
Sit across?
Yeah.
Be squished is what you're saying, Monica.
Not even squish, but
he was saying across, you'd be a little squished, right?
I'm squished personally across from the table behind me.
Okay.
Okay. But there's enough room if I'm sitting next to him. It's not going to be squished there either. And it kind of like goes, I just feel like when you're across, there's almost like the interview aspect, like a battle.
How close are you with this person?
We're friendly. We're good friends.
They went to breakfast. I haven't been to breakfast with anyone in forever.
Yeah,
you
we're
work a
good
morning
friends.
shift.
Yeah, that's true. But are we talking a diner here?
Yeah. It's a diner.
Diners are great.
Mm-hmm.
And again, a diner has that more like homely feel where I feel like if I'm directly across, it's like professional.
I think you just sit as close as you can next to him and just make him uncomfortable. Just make him uncomfortable.
That's what I'm saying. I think you're gonna you might not be uncomfortable, but I also like that he got prime seating. Like he didn't have to make this decision.
Exactly. I think he did that on purpose too. I think he was like, I'm not making a decision. I said,
You should have just sat so close to him, like, let's share pancakes, make it really weird.
So how about this? We can agree if you walk in. Maybe we don't agree. I don't know. I used to work at a restaurant. When there's a booth and people are sitting on the same side of the booth, just a couple.
It's weird.
Yeah.
weird.
Okay. So we can agree on that.
Where are your hands?
Right.
I want to see hands up.
Exactly.
I don't know
right?
what's going on.
It's harder to talk to someone that way.
Yeah, because
exactly. If I'm out,
but yeah, so that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You should not don't sit next to him. Sit, even if it is like catty corner, directly across. I feel like that's just a more comfortable feel. I know it's like an interview aspect, but the other way is canoodling. You're canoodling.
So let me ask you this: if you walked in and you saw two dudes sitting at that right
I'm
angle,
like,
okay, all right, so you're okay, all right. Well,
Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I'm assuming at that point they're on a.
So I played it wrong then. I sat adjacent to him.
you
So,
canoodled.
yeah, I'm gonna have to send him this clip as an apology.
I'm sorry to
Sorry,
be.
I've been thinking about it since
You
it
should just
happened.
send him
I
a text that says, "Sorry, I canoodled you
Yeah,
yesterday."
I hope I didn't, smother his breakfast experience.
He's
so.
never asking you to breakfast again.
Probably not. No, probably not.
I do think nowadays it is kind of weird just going to, if you're not on a date, just going to like a dinner or even a
One-on-one,
lunch,
yeah.
one-on-one
Yeah.
with anyone. It could be your best friend of a bajillion years.
Yeah.
Like I just feel like at that point, like just go on a double date.
Yeah,
Just go- yeah.
And that's why I just think like, sitting directly across, it's almost like, it's just too much, You
Yeah.
just need to be offset a little bit just to direct the energy different ways,
But that's okay. Next time, don't do that.
Next time I won't.
Don't
All right,
don't do that. But also that's annoying to have to be seated like
Next
that.
time, just invite a third friend.
Yeah,
Yes.
I know. That was the issue right there.
Bring a third friend.
The
You
one-on-one
know,
thing.
When you put out the invite to like a bunch of your friends, if only 2 can make it, done. Never mind. Sorry, something just popped up.
Right,
That's what you got to do. Something popped up.
yeah.
So what did you order at the diner? Because diners are my absolute favorite. I feel like there's a lot of Delco
So
staples.
I get this. I probably shouldn't even share this on a Delco show because I get so much slack for this. I've always been a big parfait guy, and so I ordered a.
Diner got a parfait.
I got a parfait.
Kick him out.
I
You're
got
done. Get
yogurt
off
and
the
fruit.
shelf.
Delco card.
I got yogurt and fruit. It's just.
And you canoodled?
I know.
Oh,
It's.
what a date.
It was. Yeah, I did not. I should have just lied. Steak and eggs. Steak and
Yeah,
eggs. Steak and
scrapple.
eggs. Yeah, scrapple, pork roll.
there you go.
I went to breakfast again this morning. I got pork roll and eggs. For real, I did.
That's
so.
why you were late?
Traffic on Township Line.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
the pork roll took a while.
Yeah.
I actually, when I get to diners, I order, and it's so weird, chocolate milk. And people always are like, "Oh, do you need that in a kid cup?" I'm like, "Heck no! I need the big glass, please."
I think it's weird just because it's not thought of, but that's a strong move.
It's a really
mean,
good move,
Chocolate milk's delicious.
I'm sure everyone's like, I wish I thought of that.
especially at diners because they put so much syrup in it. It's crazy. It's so delicious.
My husband doesn't really like coffee, so he always, whenever I get coffee, he'll tell me to order him a hot chocolate. And the one place we go to, they literally always say, "Do you want it like a kid temperature?" And I always go, "No, it's for my husband." He's like, "Why do you do that? Why do you have to tell us for your husband?" And I'm like, "Because I'm calling you out."
Because you don't deserve. All right, let's get now to our Delco trivia. I just learned this. So, what is the name of the young girl ghost who is said to haunt Knowlton Road near Aston? Do you think you know, Eddie? Have you heard of this?
I've been down there and I've seen the trees going the other way.
Oh,
but,
maybe you've seen her.
I don't know.
But we've got the answer coming up. If you don't know, the name of the young girl ghost who is said to haunt Knowlton Road near Aston, Maggie. It's where the Chester Creek meets Knowlton Road. It's called Maggies Ford. There was a burial or a grave there of a young girl named Maggie, but people who travel over the ford and over the bridge
Still there?
say they see like, transparent like figures and ghosts of this young girl.
Spooky.
That no one knows how she died, but there have been multiple reports near that area. And I think it's close to Lynn Villa too. And Lynn Villa has like a haunted hayride too, and they will mention her.
I love this shot right now because we can see that Eddie's holding his shoe in between his legs.
So there you go. Let's see. So
Show your shoes, Eddie.
instead of your slides today, Eddie,
Yeah,
you wore...
I heard you're honorary Delco because of your socks and slides, so I wanted to bring another piece of Delco footwear to be admired.
And
The
The
Iverson.
Iversons, baby.
those are crisp and
I
clean.
couldn't remember, but I know every kid in my grade school growing up had that shoe.
That's right, exactly.
It's a good shoe.
And then followed up with the one with the zipper, I'm sure you know
Yes,
that
yes. The book is internationally known, locally disrespected. Check it out. Eddie Doyle, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for
Thanks,
having me.
Eddie.
This was great.
This was the
You're
best.
awesome. You can email us, delcoduo at phl17.com. Make sure you do. We want to hear from you.